Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Crime Unveiled with Courtney Bennett. Yesterday, I happened to do an interview with the executive director of Crime Stoppers, Julie Lopez, and we talked about how important it is for people to submit tips and that Crime Stoppers, they accept tips anonymously, especially with the recent shootings that have happened in Flint, just like the one that happened on Sunday that tragically took the life of an 18-year-old woman who was an innocent bystander. And the family and Crime Stoppers, they're urging people to submit any information to find whoever did this. I'm going to play for you my interview with Julie. As the executive director of Crime Stoppers of Flint and Genesee County. Julie, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to me a little bit. We've seen kind of this uptick in violence in Flint, particularly. What is Crime Stoppers doing to get the message out there that people can submit tips anonymously?
So we always have our campaigns to let people know that Crime Stoppers is available. But I think it's hard to reach everyone all the time, and a lot of people don't understand it. So I appreciate you having me on so I can explain it to people. There's a lot of people think it's not anonymous, and I understand that concern with technology these days. But just to let everybody know, our call centers in Canada, we don't have caller ID. We don't record the calls. Um, there's nothing says whether it's a male or female voice or anything like that. And on our website and our app, we do not track IP addresses. And we have all of these things in place. The phone numbers even get scrambled up before they go to the call center and there's not caller ID. We have everything in place. We are our own branch in Flint and Genesee County, but there are Crime Stoppers programs across the country, across the world. We are a trusted source. So we haven't given the identification for anyone. So that's a little frustrating to me that people say, well, it's not anonymous or we don't trust that it's anonymous when we haven't lost that trust in anyone. So I like to let everybody know we are anonymous and we do keep you, you don't have to testify when you contact Crime Stoppers. So we also have our Facebook page, which is very active. And we did post recently just to let everybody know again that even if a crime isn't highlighted on Crime Stoppers specifically, if tips come in on that crime, we find out which agency it goes to, who the detective is on the case, and we send it to those agencies in that jurisdiction who is working that crime. So, we obviously have a lot of crimes that we do highlight when law enforcement requests that. Then, we put that on there with a dollar amount, but there's always a dollar amount for felony crimes.
That dollar amount, it's to entice people to, submit information, kind of get that information. But at the end of the day, this is all about the families.
Yeah, that's true. And on the national average, about 50% of the money is never collected. So I think we like to think that it's because people just want to have safer neighborhoods.
We unfortunately saw something happen in downtown Flint. A young woman's life was taken. She was an innocent bystander. You all are accepting tips for that right now. However, her case hasn't been, put on a poster or anything like that. But people can call or they can go online or they can go through the app, right?
Absolutely. For any crime, we accept those tips and then we get that to law enforcement anonymously. So that is something I appreciate that we're reiterating for people because, um, a lot of people want to see, um, not that they want to see it, but they want the recognition and the acknowledgement, really, it's a better word for it, that their loved one meant something. And so it should be highlighted. And but a lot of times with law enforcement, they don't want to necessarily bring more attention to it because they're working on the case. So on these open investigations, we communicate with law enforcement, and we respect that maybe they have the reasons why they don't want to put it specifically on Crime Stoppers, but they absolutely want tips. You heard the mayor say it the other day that they need tips.
And they're calling on the community because this can't, I mean, a lot of these crimes can't get solved without the community's help.
Right, right. Unfortunately, people don't want to testify. So, and when they don't want to get involved, then that's why we have Crime Stoppers.
Julie, talk to me a little bit about the organizations that are in the community right now that are kind of doing work to kind of prevent crime as well as Crime Stoppers.
Sure. So there's a grant that was out for the Crime Violence Intervention and Prevention Initiative. And there are 23 nonprofit organizations that were awarded the funding. We're still waiting on that check, but there's a little minor detail on that, major detail on that. But to hold those funds up, but just to name a few that are on that list of people who we have been meeting with for several years. We've been, Neighborhood Engagement Hub, Wow Outreach, Evolve Foundations, Men Motivating Men, Sisters Supporting Sisters, Hand of Hope. There's a list. It's on the City of Flint, the website, and it's the Community Foundation of Greater Flint's involved. And like I said, there are several organizations. We meet monthly, and it's on social media. And it's really important to know a lot of people I'm seeing on social media are saying that, nothing's being done or there isn't things for kids to do, and that is not true. There are so many organizations that are working on this. So I don't know all the answers to how to solve the crime with the youth especially, but these organizations are very good at that. Another one that comes to mind that wasn't on the list for the CVI grant, but is Mothers of Joy Institute, the parenting. There's those classes that are available as well. So, so many organizations in our area that are helping, and people just need to look for those resources, get online, connect with anyone that you know, and then we connect them with other people. So it's really important to know that there are things that are happening.
We've seen these recent cases, but there are even older unsolved cases in Genesee County and in Flint. And they are posted on the website, and you all are taking tips for those as well.
We unfortunately have a lot of unsolved cold cases, and but people need to know to hang on to hope. I really firmly believe in that because recently there was a tip that came in for a case in 1998 that's in the courts. So, new technology in solving these crimes. So even if you don't know why people wait so long to submit the information, whatever reason it may be, law enforcement has their theories on that. So, um, I could I know I'm stuttering here because I'm trying to think, do I say all these different reasons? But, maybe the person that they were afraid of isn't in their life anymore, or um, maybe they need to get out of a jam, or, there's all these different reasons, but there's also new technology with DNA. And so please, the families who are affected by violence, hang on to hope. My family hangs on to it. We're on 14 years for my father-in-law's unsolved homicide. But truly, I can say, working with law enforcement, they care about these cases and they love the Crime Stoppers tips, especially when it really opens up and cracks a case.
Julie, remind everyone again how they can submit a tip anonymously.
So the call center is 1-800-422-JAIL, which is 5245. And I'll give you the others in a second, but when you call there, you get a real person 24/7, and they can gather a little bit more information because they're asking questions, okay? And then you can also go to P3 Tips app, the letter P, the number 3, and then tips, and that's a mobile app. And then there's p3tips.com, which is the same. And or if you go to our Crime Stoppers of Flint.com, that takes you to the P3 Tips app. Okay, so that's the um, the our system, that our tip taking system. With that app or with the website, put in as much information as you can, detailed information, anything that you can think of that's going to help. So those usually have just not as much information because somebody's not prompting them with these questions. So there are questions on there, but a lot of times they don't fill them out. So we really, and like, again, it is 100% anonymous. We don't track the IP addresses. and we look at those tips and then we get that to the right jurisdiction. And if the tip helps lead to a felony arrest, then we can communicate through the app again. The tipster has to log in with their password. They're given a tip number right off the bat, and they're, instructed on how to check back, or they can call the call center with their tip number and check back. And then we have an anonymous cash pickup. I know a lot of people don't believe that either, but we aren't looking for these people. And we're about the national average, a little higher, I think, on some years where people want to collect their money. But I think over the last 11 years that I've been doing this, we're about the average, which is about 50%.
Well, Julie, a lot of good information right there. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out to join me and just talk about all the good that Crime Stoppers is offering to the community and to the
Thank
families.
you. Thank you. And I'm just so sad for these families to have to go through this. It's just traumatic. And those families, especially of the 18-year-old girl who was just killed a couple days ago, if this reaches her family, there are resources to help, and hopefully they're getting them. And if not, they can reach out to Crime Stoppers and we'll connect them with those people.
Perfect. Thanks, Julie, so much.
All right, thanks.
Was Crime Stoppers of Flint and Genesee County, the executive director, Julie Lopez, and I do want to thank her for taking the time out to talk with us and offer a lot of valuable information on how people can submit tips to Crime Stoppers completely anonymous. We'll have all this information for you at midmichigannow.com under the digital desk tab. You can also find all of those unsolved cases that Crime Stoppers has highlighted over the years on their website. All you have to do is search Crime Stoppers of Flint and Genesee County. And as always, if you have information, they do accept tips 24/7. I just want to thank everyone for joining me tonight for Crime Unveiled with Courtney Bennett. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening.